Hey guys, Shamari here. We have big things to talk about today. As always, life-changing things to talk about. We're gonna go through enough things today. Well, I'm gonna take that card. Hello? Speaking. Yeah, mega clear it off. My house? We can't take my car. What do you mean I come for everything I have? So, so, so how much my have for now? 500,000? But 50,000 was the limit. Credit cards. Today we're going to talk about credit cards. A lot of us have it. A lot of us have it as stress way out, a mad way. People are calling phone, the bank in our ears, and just like you saw a while ago, it's a very stressing experience. Now, if your credit card is as bad as mine, trust me, to me, the best thing that you can do is get financing for clear the card. You get me? I say if it is that the card bad, it written off, the bank need a call you. See if you can get some finances. Now, I'll admit, getting financing will be very difficult, especially the fact that you have a bad debt. If you have a bad debt on the books, now everybody quick for lend you, and even the loan sharks, as they are termed, won't lend you. But try your best, go out there and seek financing. Forget the financing, clear the card, and start anew. Some people might tell you, oh, you no need for clear the card. No, or you no need for clear the card. The bank can write that off. Enough money the bank have. Don't listen to them. Them want to keep you down. Things that might not affect you now are going to affect you in the future. If you can clear it off, guys. Now, let's say a card, no bad. It not write off, but it a stress you. It a mad you. Every month, all you can find is a minimum payment. That's all you can find. I'm going to walk you through how you can overcome that situations, things that you can put in place immediately for change your life. Now, for all of the persons who are paying their minimum payment, I'm going to give you a tip. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you a hard truth. You are doing financial suicide. I say it. The card is a line of credit. The minute you start pay only the minimum payment, you move it from a line of credit to a loan. Now, banks in Jamaica normally give credit cards from 40% to as high as 48%. Imagine you are pay a loan every month with 40% interest. That can't work. So what we are going to do today? Alright, first thing first. What you need to do is call your bank immediately and find out the statement date. The statement date is very important. Now, what is the statement date? The statement date is whenever the bill is made. How we put it in practical terms? Let's say you have a bill with a statement date of the 1st of March. See me? So the 1st of March, the bank would have gathered all of your purchases and all of your payments to the cards, and say for instance, you owe the bank $1,000. So upon the 1st of March, the bank say you owe them $1,000. See me? Then they will tell you that your due date is normally can be anywhere between 25 to 30 days. So let's say for ease, 30th of March, your bill due. Two very important days more. Everybody for pay attention to the statement date and the due date. Yeah, follow? Alright. So we know what we'll bill due the 30th, and we know it's generated on the 1st. Now let's say, let me show you how that's important. You see, any purchase you make after the statement date is due the next month. Because remember, when it's just like any other bill, like a JPS bill, when the bank gather your purchases for that time frame, generate a statement for that time, any other purchases done after that is for the next month. Now let me show you how it works out for you. Let's say you have a purchase and you make it on the 28th for $1,000. Right? The purchase that you make on the 28th, add to your $1,000 bill. So on the first, you owe $2,000. Now, if you had to wait until the 2nd or even the 1st of March to make that $1,000 purchase, instead of owing the bank $2,000, you owe the bank $1,000, with the other $1,000 being due the next month. Essentially, you give yourself some leeway. I'm going to say it. Cheat code. Easy cheat code that for just easily implement, and I like to call it the timing of your purchase. Right? A lot of times people just go around there and just purchase. And then they get this big bill at the end of the month. And sometimes they genuinely can't afford. Hence, they have to pay the minimum payment. If you can time your purchases, trust me, that will, you're not necessarily saving money, but you're extending the period. You're giving yourself some leeway, some leniency, some amount of freedom then. Cool? So we know the due date, we know the statement date. Now we need to stop the bleeding. Gloves? Alright, so now we're going to stop the bleeding. Seriously now. Now what I mean by stop the bleeding? Now, as I said, most interest rate in Jamaica for credit cards over 40%. You can't be paying 40%, and imagine you pay 40% on $1,000. That's $400. Imagine you pay 40% on $100,000. That's $40,000. That's crazy, right? So what we need to do is limit as much as possible what we are paying to the bank. Best way to do that is extend as far as possible the amount we can pay. Alright, so we know so we can pay the minimum payment. For ease of argument, we're going to say the minimum payment is $5,000. Now I want everybody forget a book and a pen. May I go no time? Alright, so watch me now. You're going to list in your book every expense that you have that you pay in cash. Every single expense, whether it be taxi fare, the gas, the rent, light bill, water bill. Because what I find is a lot of people don't use their credit cards as a substitute, which it should be. They use it, they run it concurrent with their debit cards. Meaning, they have the credit card and them still pay cash for things. Whether it's because they don't understand the instrument, or because of our culture. A lot of people probably don't like go places and push out them credit card and feel like, oh, you're broke, that's why you use a credit card. And because of that, them pay cash. Now, I want you to go through your list and see all of the expenses that you have that can be substituted with using the credit card. Meaning, all of your expenses that you have on that list that you can pay with your credit card. So if you have the grocery, where you normally pay cash, you have to start using your credit card to buy your grocery. If your light bill and your water bill you normally pay cash, you need to start pay that using your credit card. Taxi now take credit card, so we make them slide. But if you got the gas station and you pay that cash, you need to start using a credit card. Now, all of those expenses that you can pay cash, I want you to transfer that cash onto your credit card. Right? So we'll do that. We're going to transfer the cash, all the expenses that we can pay using the credit card, we're going to transfer that to the card. And we're going to use the credit card straight through. Now this process takes discipline and it takes time. But I want you guys to do it. I don't want to see the credit card a killer, guys. I don't like see it, so me I give them the tips. If nobody not telling them, me telling them. Right? So after I go through and see all of the expenses that I can pay for using the card, I want to transfer all of the money to the card. Now, after we do that, and this is why the statement date and the timing of payments and the timing of purchases, is very important. Because now we're going to implement the time purchasing principle. So after we transfer all of the expense to the card, alright, so now we're going to pencil out how we can make payment to the card and when we can use the card. If you can put off your purchases, you make the payment, you put the money on the card and you can put off your purchases for an extra day or two, that extra day or two might save you thousands of dollars. Right? Now let's say you put your groceries on, but you don't necessarily need to buy the groceries today. You can buy your groceries after your statement date, or after your statement is generated. You buy your groceries after your statement is generated. The card registers the payment, and if it is that your expense is just as much as the card amount, then you go through with 0% interest. You'll pay 0% on your card because the card would have registered, card being paid off completely. You now follow? So hence there is nothing owed. If it is not that case with you and your expense probably don't reach the limit of the card or reach the amount owed, it still reach a good enough or way more than the minimum payment. So instead of paying 40% on 100,000, you probably pay 40% on 40,000. That's way better, right? So after we do that, now the next thing what you can do is reach out to people in your surroundings. Now I know of a person for a fact that one of her strategies was she used to reach out to people that ask, do you mind I purchasing this on your behalf? Alright, so you might have some people they probably want to shop online, they probably want to buy a phone. We know a lot of money for phones right now. You can simply ask, hey, I can pay for that for you, I probably can't pay for it today, but I have no problem paying for it next week. Presuming that next week the statement would have generated. You follow? They put that money on the card, the card will register that as a payment to the card, and now you less that amount, you owe less that amount. You pay for it for the person, but the interest, what we are trying to do, I limit the amount of interest you have to pay. Because as I say, if the more interest you have to pay, is the harder the battle you're facing. So one, keep the statement date and the due date in mind. Two, write down all of your expense and make sure that all of your expense that you are paying with cash, you transfer those expenses to the card. Three, reach out to people in your immediate surroundings, whether family and friends, and offer to use your card. But make sure, people devious guys, make sure you collect the money first, right? And time your purchases. You use this strategy, and I tell you, I'll be honest, it's a bit difficult, but with perseverance and commitment, you will make it through. And instead of drowning in debt, I'm throwing a local lifeline. Alright guys, I'm hoping to learn a lot. I'm hoping to follow the channel, like, share, subscribe.